This is video number 9 on the car cards and waybills, and I'm going to just touch on some of the very useful information that you get out of the system that will help you as you're constructing your waybills and help you with balancing traffic and making sure you're getting enough traffic to individual spots and make sure that when you go out buy some more cars that you're buying the kinds of cars you actually need, and so on.
So I wanted to talk just really quickly about some of these statistics pages here that show some information. So the cars needed page is going to show what cars you actually need. And you'll see when you click here within the table, you'll see this pivot table editor popping up. By default, it's because we just cleared all this data out, it may have some filters on there. So you probably want to just remove those filters. So it's going to show all the information. And so in this case, you can see it's got 505 cars that are classified as any that are needed. And this is a count of the waybills that are needed. This is a count of the number of cars that would be needed, keeping in mind that each car has 4 different waybills in the 4-cycle in this 4-cycle approach that we use. So I need 11 reefers, 12 stock car, or sorry, 3 reefers, 3 stock cars, 127 of some other type of car. Obviously, this becomes more meaningful as you have more meaningful information in here. So if I start to say, well, these are box cars, and the REIA is going to get box cars. The warehouse is probably getting box cars. The interchange can get anything. This interchange can get anything. So now if we go over here, we'll start to see more breakdown of the specific types of cars. Generally, these may, you may treat these as sort of rough numbers as you're initially populating your layout, so you can get some sense of, gosh, I need a whole slew of hopper cars to serve all of the coal traffic I have. These may be cars that you already own, but you just don't have waybills. They're not entered into the system yet, so it's not aware of those. And or they may be cars that you need to go out and buy or acquire for to meet your operational needs. Over here, this car stats, let me just widen this one out a little bit more. The car stats is again just showing an overall count of how many waybills are needed on the layout, and how many waybills are still needed for cars. So in this case, it says you have one car out there that has no waybill, and you've got 158 waybills that the layout still needs to get to capacity in terms of the estimates that you made of 4 waybills for each of the industries. So one of the other very useful statistics that you're going to get out of this system is an indication of how many waybills you have for each of your various industries, and how many you have relative to what you need, or how many additional waybills you need. So if you look here at column H in the online tab, you can see it's listed as the ideal number of waybills. And this is based upon some settings here, which you probably can leave in their default values, but they are configurable, which is shows how many waybills ideally you want per industry and how many waybills you want per staging and interchange spot. You notice that the staging and interchange, the way I have them set is set one higher than we set it for the industries, because of the fact that the staging and interchange spots tend to move much more often, whereas the industry spots oftentimes are going to have a hold cycle in between. So you can see, the ideal number. Well, that's not all that important here, but you can then see in column I the number that are currently allocated out there, the number of waybills that currently go to those spots, and then in column J, the most important one here, showing how many spots are open. Um, and um, and so this essentially, gives you some sense of where do I still have to get more cars directed to. So as I'm going through and filling out the waybills, I can see, gosh, I still have a lot of room in my Easton staging. Let's send more stuff that way. Starting to get a little bit tight on whatever. Um, and just to get a sense, there is some color coding here. I'm gonna fake this out. You wouldn't normally want to put data in here, but I'm going to go ahead and do that anyway. You'll see it gives this warning, and again, normally you don't want to do this, but I'm doing it just to show it by way of example. And here you can see the line turns green, which is indicating that there's no open spots. It's got all the waybills that it really needs to have. The ones that are tan have no waybills at all. The ones that are white have some waybills, but they're still in progress. And if you were to go in here and put more waybills to a particular industry, you'll see it turns red, which is certainly not something that's a complete no-no, but it does increase the likelihood that you're going to see more cars coming for that industry than you actually have spots available for, and therefore might have scenarios where cars have to be off spotted because there's more traffic than you really have the room for. Um, One other really useful statistic here is this interchange. This actually replicates. So you have interchange. In this case, I have this BNSF interchange, and that you can see has 55 open slots. Um, and obviously for staging, you can see those numbers as well. But it's useful to see that uh, broken out specifically for interchanges, because you're going to have a lot of cars that typically in most model operating schemes, you're going to have a lot of cars that go from staging and end up going back to staging, or where a lot of stuff is moving through an interchange. Rather than moving from one industry to another on your layout, it's more realistic in many cases, to have um, those goods move from somewhere on your layout to somewhere off of your railroad, and vice versa, to have things coming in from somewhere off of your railroad. So the way that works, you can see there's no towns listed here as interchanges. It does populate over here what it currently thinks of as interchanges based upon your online config. So we can see we had a PRR that was listed as an interchange, big town listed as an interchange, and again, your two staging areas. And note that in this case, as I mentioned, I think at one point earlier, both the word staging and the word interchange here are sort of magic words that get a special treatment. So just be aware, if you had an industry that had the word interchange in it, that would be problematic the way this is designed right now. So there's a couple things that happen when it sees this interchange, one of which is it's going to populate it over here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these and just copy them over, and you'll see I'll do a copy here, but then when I do my paste, I'm going to be careful here to paste this by value only. I don't want to paste the actual formulas because these are formulas. And now within here, I can put more information about these interchanges. I can describe what railroads I know I'm interchanging with in these various places. So as if you may have seen in one of the earlier videos, I think we had a Rock Island interchange that was in Weston, and maybe there's some others, whatever they might be. This is, by the way, this is just for your information. There's no formatting or special rules around this. This is just for you as you're thinking about traffic moving across your layout and thinking about the actual cars that you have and the road names of those cars. You're thinking, how do I get this Rock Island car back to Rock Island? Looking at this page can help you see, oh, Weston is the interchange that I have with Rock Island. Now, in other cases, you might have multiple places where you interchange with the same railroad. It might be that the BNSF crosses your railroad and has interchange points at more than one point, and those could be listed here multiple times. Let me just grab the other ones. So we had Big Town was BNSF and Middle Junction was PRR. So let me put those in over here. BNSF, PRR, and then these other ones will be, whatever is appropriate for your railroad. Maybe the PRR is also has a connection point in Easton, as does perhaps the Erie. And again, there typically would be multiples. Now, obviously, your railroad's not going to connect with every railroad. So if I have a car from Maine Central Railroad, how do I route it back? Well, reasonable things would be routing it through, say, the Erie or the PRR in this case, through the Pennsy, but not through the BNSF Railroad. But now what I have, as I'm planning my waybills out, and I'm trying to fill in the information for the waybills, and I'm looking at this car and trying to figure out, how do I get it back to Maine Central? I can be looking over here and taking into consideration how many spots are still open at each of these interchanges. Now, obviously, at this point, again, I've only put, I think, 2 waybills in here. So there's lots and lots of open spots. But as things start to fill up, you may find, gosh, I'm running out of spots here in this PRR interchange at Middle Junction. So what am I going to do with this PRR car? Well, I've also got Easton that I can send it through. And so you can see, sort of what those options are. In terms of spot availability that still remains given the waybills that you've already assigned. And for the record, I do intend to leave lots of room down below in the comments section where you can, the purists among you can complain about the fact that my imaginary spur of the moment model railroad here is somehow managed to interchange anachronistically with the PRR, the Erie, the Rock Island, and the BNSF Railroad. Um, so my apologies to the purists of you out there.
So then that's it for this segment covering some of the data and statistics information that you can get out of these spreadsheets.